Hey, welcome back. We're in the Gemara in Taanis. We're in Chaf Beis. When we left off, he's recommended that you should be done in under a half hour. That's what we're going to try to do it quick. Last time we left off in the middle of a story with Abda Umna, who was a special type of doctor, and he had a lot of good acts that he did. And at the end, the Gemara relates in the bottom of Chaf Alpha Beis that Abai sent a pair of rabbis to test him out. So what do? He Abu Umna, he sat them down, he fed them, he gave them food, he laid out a rug for them at night. The Gemara continues Chav Beis Amar Aleph, first word L'Safra in the morning, Karchininu v'Sheklinu v'Kamu v'Nafkaluhu, a lot of Aramaic in the beginning of this first half of Amud. In the morning, Karchinahu v'Shaklinahu, he folded them up, he took it, v'Kamu v'Nafkaluhu, they folded it up, they took it, these rugs, and then they left. That's what they did. It's rabbis that came to test him. They brought them out to the marketplace. But Amma Umna found them. Amrle. So Amrule, they told him, why doesn't master estimate how much is the value of these rugs? They were testing him to see if they would be suspected of thieves or if he was going to give an offer less than their value. Rashi explains. Abu Umma said this is their value. Maybe they're equal more. No, this is what I paid for them. So they told Abu Umma, by the way, this is yours. We took it from you. They continued to tell Abu Umna, please forgive us, or with your permission. Did you suspect us when we took them from you? Amar lahu, rather, Abu Umma told them, Amina pigeon shivuyim miklu rabban vaksifu lemeimar. I thought that maybe you had to redeem a captive, and you were embarrassed to tell this to me. This is similar to the Gemara in Shabbos Kuf Chav Zayin Amabez, Kuf Chav Zayin, yeah, Amabez, where it talks about how you should judge everyone favorably. V'havi dam is called the Makaf. See the recordings on Avos that we did about that. Amar lei. So they told them, Hashta Nikshalai Humar, why don't you take the rug back right now that you know that you're the owner of them? Because we only wanted to test you, Rashi explained. Amrlahu, he told them, from that moment, I already diverted my mind from it, and I said it should just be used and given for charity. Now, that's the story of Abba Umna. And up until now, we explained on the bottom of Chaf Alpha Mabiz why Abba Umna, he got a greeting from heaven daily. Abai was only got it on Erev Shabbos, once a week, on the eve of Shabbos. Abai became weak because of that. They told Abai, no, you can't do what Abba Umna does. He's a doctor, you're a Rosh Hashiva. And then the Gemara over there continued and said, Rava got a greeting every Erev Yom Kippur. So the Gemara over here says that Rava became weak because Abai got the greeting from heaven once a week on the eve of Shabbos, whereas he only got it once a year on Erev Yom Kippur. And really, they told him, to come agina kuli kracha. Isn't it enough? You're going to get enough of the next world that you're protecting the entire city over here because of your deeds, because of everything that you did. So don't be upset about this matter over here. Gemara continues with another fundamental story. Rabbi Baroika Chuza, Havishkiach Beshuka de Beilefet. Rabbi Baroika Chuza frequented, he was regular in the marketplaces of Beilefet. Havishkiach Eliyahu Gabe. Eliyahu, he frequented him. He was commonly there by him. He said, Shuka bar Almadasi. So Rabbi Baroika asked Eliyahu, is there someone who will get the next world in this marketplace over here? So the Gemara says, Amarle, lo. Eliyahu said, no, no one here will get the next world. On the interim, in the meantime, he saw a certain person, he was wearing black shoes. And he wasn't placing strings of the techeles in his garment. This is not how Jews usually went. Amarle, Eliyahu said, Haibar Alma Da'asihu, he will get the next world. Obvious question is why, we'll see. Rohat Basra, he ran after him. Amarle Mayavduch. And yes, what do you do? Rabroka. He ran after the fellow and said, what do you do? Amarle Zil Idna. He said, leave now. I have to go now and come back tomorrow. The next day, Amar le Mavduch, he said the next day, what's your job? Amar le, he says, Zan Dukina Ana, I'm a jail guard. Vasirna Gavri Luchod V'Nashi Luchod. And I incarcerate the men by themselves and the women by themselves. V'amina Purya Bein Hani Lahani. And I place my bed in between the men and the women. Shomer Beis Asur as he was a guard owner. He placed his bed in between so that they won't come to sin. Ki heichi de lo leisi de yisur, so that they don't come to a prohibition. Ki chazin and bas Yisrael de hivin achrim alay na hayu masrina nafshin metalina. When I see one of the other guards of the prison puts his eyes on one of the women, I give over my soul to save her. Yoim achad, one day, havinar murasa gabon, there was an engaged woman by us. They been achrim nayu that the people over there they put their eyes on her. Shakli Dordia de Chamra Vishadi La Bishipule Va'amri Distanahi. So he took sediments, wine sediments, Shashi explains, that were red like the blood from the Nida Vishadile, and he put it Bishipula on the lower part of the skirt. Va'amri Distanahi. And they said that she's a Nida. They said that she was a nida. It's the way of woman, and it was disgusting. So he was trying to get that so that they won't sin. Malay. My time leisacha chuti Simon say uchmei. So Rav Baruch finally asked the question. He says, "Why is it that you're wearing that you didn't put the techelis and you were wearing black shoes?" Amarlei. Eilina v'nafki b'nei nachri ki heichidul leida di Yehudiana. He said, I'm constantly coming and going from among people who aren't Jewish, and I don't want them to know that I'm Jewish. Ki havi gazri gizirasa modina luhu l'rabbanan rubai rachim ilvatu ligizirayo. And the reason for this is because when they make a decree that's bad for the Jews, I go and I inform the rabbis, and then they start praying, and they cancel the decree that was made. My time on my avduch. Amar Lizil in Metalamacher. Rebruka asked him, "What's the reason why I said, what do you do? You said come back tomorrow. Why can't you just tell me right now?" Amar he said, "But he shasa kazi gizerosa avina bereisha yozil ve'ashima luhulur abanil lebay rachmi al demilsa." Because I said at that moment they were making a decree, and I said first, let me go and give the news to the rabbi so that they could pray for the matter, and then after I'll tell you. That was the next day. In the interim, in the meantime, Masu Hanach Trey Achi, some of the text, two brothers came in the meantime. Amar Le Hanach Hamid Bnei Almadas and Inhu. Eliyahu said, these people will also inherit the next world. Also, Lagabai, who went to them, Amar Lahu, my Uv Daichu. And he said, what is the job that you do? What do you do? Amr Le, they responded to Rebroka, Inchi Bedusi Anan. We're basically like clowns. Mavdechinon atzivi. We make happy those who are sad. Very important. Rashi bedusi semechim umesamchim b'nei adam. Since we're happy, therefore we're able to bring joy to others. You can only bring joy to someone else if you yourself are happy. Inami. Additionally, ki chazina and beitredis lu tigra behadayu tarchina vadinin luhu shalma. When I see two people that are having a quarrel, a fight among them, each other, so then we toil and we try to make peace. See the importance of peace that they were getting in the next world because of what they're doing and bringing joy to people. Very important. Very, very important indeed. According to the Girsa change of the Bach in Ozvav, they made peace between spouses in particular. Mar continues and says, Al ilu matrin b'kol makom. On the following, you have to blow shofar in all places. As if you go back, you look on Yud Tes, Amud Aleph, the mission over there. Tana Rabbanim, we have a brayso Al ilu matrin b'kol makom. On these, you have to blow shofar fast on in all places. Al shidafim val yirakon val arba. And on the types of shidafun, yirakon, and arba. So we learned over there, if we go back, the shidafun is the type of like a wind blast. Yirakum was type of sickness in the body, and the arb is going to be locust. The seal is also locust. Valachayra and a bad animal. When it comes to the wind blast and the sickness on the body, even a very small amount, even just a little bit of it, you already have to. Blow shofar for that. Start fasting. Arba v'chasila fi lo ner beretz shalach naf echad matrin aleim. When it comes to these types of locusts, even if you only see just one small kanaf, refers to a bird, meaning a type of locust. Rashi explains it's an oaf. So still, you have to blow shofar and start fasting because you know in the future more is going to come. V'alachayo, on the animals, you have to blow the shofar fast in all places. Tanu Rabbanu, we have a brayso. Chaye Rasha Amru B'zman Shi Mishulechas Matrin Aleha In Mishulechas Im Matrin Aleha. When you have the bad animal at a time when it's sent from heaven, you have to blow shofar on that and fast. If it's not going to be sent from heaven, so then you don't need to blow shofar and you don't need to fast. Eizu Hu Mishulechas V'Eizu Sheinu Mishulechas. What's considered sent? What's considered not sent? Near Be'er Mishulechas. B'Sadin Mishulechas. If it's sent in the city, it's considered sent, but in the field, it's not considered sent. So you see a difference between the field and the city. If it comes in the day, then it was sent. At night, it was not sent. If it saw two people and was running after them, that's considered sent. If it hid from one of them, it's not considered sent. If it tore two people and ate one of them, it's considered sent. If it ate both of them, it's not considered sent. The reason is because for one, it was only hungry for one, but for two, that's already a different story. If it ate both of them, that's a different story over here. Because it was hungry. Right? But with one, why would it just eat one and not the other? So that's how you know if it only ate one of them, it was that's how you know the difference between them. Rashi says, Tarfa shnei biyadim v'lo acha ela echad mehem. If only one of them, v'adem mishulachas for sure was sent. To keep it to kol haitzed rav ela echad, since it was only for hungry for one of them. My time akal talei idach. Why would it kill the other one? In other words, in the first case, it was killing another one, but it was only hungry for one. So what's it doing? As opposed to in the other case, when it ate both of them, it's not sent because it was hungry. Also, lagag v'not l'tinok b'nevizos mishulachas. Went up to the roof and it took a child from the crib. You know it was sent over there. It doesn't have to be the roof. It was just Rashi explains over here the roof. That was the norm back then. It was flat roofs and it had a usage, but the same would apply if it was in a house. Agufa kasha. This itself is a question. Amar nirasa b'yom mishulechas lo shna b'yom lo shna b'lay v'chadnu amar b'yom mishulechas b'alinu mishulechas. He said originally that if it was seen in the city, it's going to be sent, but there's no difference if it was day or night. And then you returned and you said that what? In the day it was considered sent, but at night it's not considered sent. That's the question. You see that at night it's not considered sent. Lo kasha. It's no question over here. Hachli kamar nirasa b'yom mishulechas b'layla ina mishulechas. If it was seen in the city during the day, it was sent. If it was at night, then it wasn't said. Inami or additionally. Or additionally, inami besada, there's different gears to changes. Biyom mishulechas, if it was in the field and it was the day that it was sent. That which it says if it was seen in the day, Rashi explains it's going on the field. If it was seen in the field during the day, it's not sent. There's different gears to change. It's a little complicated. If it saw two people and then it ran after them, then it's sent. However, if it's standing, then it's not considered sent. However, then you said that if it hid from one of them, it's not sent, which could be inferred from there. If it was standing, then it was sent. So which one is it? If it was standing, is it sent or not? It depends if it's going to be a field that is adjacent. If it's next to a marsh, or if it isn't next to the marsh. If it's going to be next to the marsh, Rashi explained, and it's standing over there, it's not sent, because it's the norm of it. However, if it's not adjacent to a marsh, then it is sent. Mar continues and says, that if it tore up two people and it ate like simultaneously and ate one of them, then it was sent. However, if it was both of them, it was not sent for Hamar Filu Radsta, but you said even if it was running, it was sent. Amar Papa Kitanya Hibagam. I know that case was specifically referring to the marsh. If it ate it, yes. But if running, so then no, that's what the marsh itself Rashi goes into more. Kufa also if it went up to the roof and then it took and then it killed the child from the crib, it was considered semshi to the tavis amara papa. No, there's a gears to change. Beku kavi decided. This is talking about the hunter's net. Rashi over here explains that they had a kuch, this type of like small hole that the hunters use that they dig and they could use to ambush. even though it wasn't set, still considered sent. Gemara continues and says, Al we said if there was a sword, this is referring to an army that came. So then you have to blow shofar, you have to fast in all places. The Mishnah said back on Yun Tes. Tana Rabbanan, we have a brayso. Cherev shamer reino tzarech leimer, cherev sheinu shel shalom lo afilu cherev shel shalom. When we said the sword, aka the army that comes in, it goes without saying if it's a sword which is not out of peace, an army that's not coming for peace, aka they're coming for war. Rather, even if they're coming for peace, she'ein lecha cherev shel shalom yoisim aparanecha, because there's no army that was more peaceful, so to say, than Paro Necha. And still, Yoshiyahu, the king, he stumbled. What exactly is the story with this king over here? So this actually requires a little bit of a history lesson over here. Stories like this, Paro Necha, he went with his army to wage war against Ashur. Nothing to do with the Jewish people. He didn't intend at all to wage war against the Jews. He wanted to use the Jewish land essentially as a shortcut to get to his target, to get to Ashur, the Ashurim people. All right. So the idea over here is, guess what? Yoshiyahu messed up. He didn't want to allow Paro Necha to use his land as a shortcut. And he got killed as a result of that. So we see that even if you have an army and it's not coming to wage war against you, you have to be careful. It could be a catastrophe. It could be an issue. So Yoshiyahu, he went up to greet them with war, and he wouldn't let them use the land as a shortcut. So Paro sent messengers, Paro Necha, and he said, I'm coming with you at peace. I'm not intending to wage war on you at all, and you shouldn't do war. So guess what ended up happening? It was still a bad result. Rashi over here at the bottom says, Right? You're going from one place, use it as another. So Yoshiyahu, he stumbled. Shneimar, the pasuk says, "Vayishlech elav malachim." Paro Necha, he sent messengers over here. Lamor, he said, "Mali v'lecha melech Yehuda." What's for me and to you? Mali v'lach, and the king of Yehuda. Lo alecha, lo alecha ata hayom. I'm not coming with you today. Kiel base mulchamasi. Ve'elokim amar lahavleini chadal lechem elokim asher imi ve'al yachichizecha. So the Gemara asks, what does it mean that the gods are with me? Amar Yehuda Amar Rav, he was saying Zora Voda Zara. This is referring to idolatry. So he was saying, Amar, Yoshiyahu said, Hoyel v'kal batach be'avodah zara. Since Paro Necha is believing in his idolatry, Yachilen alei, I'm going to be able to fight him off and be successful. But the pasuk says, V'yoyor hayorim l'melech Yoshiyahu yomer hamelech lavot v'uni ki chachalti me'od, that they were shooting arrows over there at the king Yoshiyahu. And the king said to his servants, remove me. This is Yoshiyahu. He told the servants, remove me from the chariot that I'm on, because I'm starting to get sick. What does that mean? I'm starting to get sick. I'm Rav Yehuda Marav. Rav Yehuda said the name of Rav. His entire body became like a sieve. That's how many arrows went through him. Amar Rebbe, they said the name of Rebbe Yochanan, is in parentheses. Why was he punished? He should have consulted with Yirmiyah if he should go out to war or not. My Darsh, where is this expounded from? From the pasuk. Where did he get this from? That he shouldn't allow Paro Necha to use his land as a shortcut. The sword shouldn't go through land. What a sword! If you're saying that it's talking about a sword that is not peaceful, I'm going to put the peace in your land. Ella filu, rather they add a cherev shashalom, even if it is a sword, an army of peace. He said, still they can't go through. He didn't know that his generation was not like proper, which means don't. Yoshiyahu said that since Hashem said that they shouldn't pass in the land, they're violating that. And therefore, I could wage war against them. I'm allowed to. But he was mistaken. He didn't realize that his generation wasn't fitting for that, that they were completely innocent and fitting for these types of guarantees for the Jewish people. When he was dying, Yirmiyah saw that his lips, they were moving. Amar Yirmiyah said, Amar Agav Sa'ari. Yirmiyah said, maybe there was something, God forbid, that Diloma Hagana, Amar Agav Sa'uri, that he's going to say that it is improper because of his pain. That's what he said. Yirmiyah said maybe he's going to say something that's improper. So Galchin v'Shemeya, he bent down and Yirmiyah heard to call matzik alav dina anavshe. He was accepting the judgment upon himself. Amar Yoshiyahu was saying, and Amar and Yoshiyahu said, Sadik hu Hashem, Hashem is righteous. Ki pihu marisi. I rebelled against his mouth. Patach alea hu shaisa. He opened up at that moment. This is referring to Yirmiyah, and he eulogized him. And he said, Ruach apinu Mashiach Hashem. So he realized that he made a mistake, Yoshua. Maisa, there's a story of Yardu Zakin Yerushalayim Ne'Yerehem, and the elders, they went down to their cities. This is referring to, they decreed a fast because it looked like there was a problem of a wind blast in Ashkelon. Ibailu who they asked, Kimaloi Tanu or Tivuz is talking about like the filled part of the wheat of the oven. This is referring to the produce that it could fill the hollow space of an oven. O dilma kimaloi tanar pas, or maybe it's like the filled oven of bread, which means this is the produce in the amount that it's fitting to make from it bread that they would regularly put in the oven, which is smaller. Tashma, come and listen, kimloi tanar. It's like the mouth of the oven. And still you could ask, ki suye, is this like the cover de tanura of the oven? O dilma ki dura de rifta de hadr le lapuma de tanura. Or maybe this is like a row of bread that's attached to the mouth of the oven. Eliyahu will answer this question. Rashi says he has two versions attached to each other, maybe above and below. So it's attached above, different explanations. Amarullah. Mishum or Mishum ben Yod Sadak. Ula said in the name of Rabbi Shimon, the son of Yehud Sadak. Maisa, there's a story. Yubalo za even shnei tinokis v'yakum derech beis Yuba Maisa l'nichach hamit ruchach l'bat mitim v'asatzamas. There's a story that two wolves swallowed whole, alive, two children, and they killed them. V'hikiyum, and then they spat them out, like vomited out. Derech beis Arayil, but it was through the feces. They came out through their feces. And this episode came in front of the wise people. V'tiras abasa, they said the flesh is permissible. V'timu asasamas, however, the bones are impure. Rashi explains they swallowed the kids up whole, but they said that the meat itself is not going to be a problem of that it's going to be impure because it was already digested in the stomachs, and therefore it has the halachic status of feces, which would not be impure. However, the bones were not digested, and therefore they would be impure. Aleilu matriim b'Shabbos, on the following, you have to blow shofar. Even on Shabbos itself, this is talking about if a city was surrounded by people, by enemies, or by a river, if there was a raging river, or on a boat that was shaking very much so, and it was very dangerous when it was traveling. Tanar Rabbanan, we have a brayso. Whether it's a city that was surrounded by the enemies, or if it was a river that was going to flood, or whether it was a ship that was moving about, tossing about a lot at the sea, or whether individual that's running from the enemies or because of robbers, or because of bad spirits. So then you're going to be add in the words matrina leim Shabbos. You blow shofar even on Shabbos. And all of them, an individual could afflict himself with the fast. Rabbi Yosi, however, Rabbi Yosi says an individual is not allowed to afflict himself with the fast because maybe he's going to need people, and the people will not have mercy on him. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of my time, and Rabbi Yosi was the reason Rabbi Yosi the pasuk says the soul that I gave you, make sure that there's life over there. That's the idea over here. Because Rashi explains he won't have strength then to make money, and if he's fasting, that's the issue over here. Shimon Atimani Omer Shimon Damam says Alfal Dever even on the pestilence on the lice. By Lahu, they ask a question. Lo Hodu Lo Chachamim B'Shabbos Aval B'Chol Hodu Lo Udim Lo Hodu Lo Klau. When the rabbis, it says that they didn't agree with him, is that referring to specifically on Shabbos? However, during the week they did agree, or no, even during the week they didn't agree. Tashma, come listen to Tanya Maturino Lo Dever B'Shabbos Min Tzir Chalim Rechol. You could blow shofar and fast on the pestilence on the lice on Shabbos, and it goes without saying that during the week you could. Rav Chanan being Petiyum Talmidush Rabbi Akiva Mishum Rabbi Akiva Omer Maturino Lo Dever Kol Ikar. However, Rav Chanan the son of Petiyum, the student of Rabbi Akiva, said in the name of Rabbi Akiva that you cannot blow shofar on the pestilence on the lice at all. On all hardships and pains that they don't come on the congregation. On every single hardship that it shouldn't come on the congregation, you could blow shofar, except for a lot of rain. You're not allowed to blow shofar for that. My time, what's the reason? You don't want to stop on a lot of good that is coming, that it should stop. From Rabbi Yochanan, Batova. How do you know that you don't daven, you don't pray for a lot of the good that it should stop? Shneim, the pasuk says, "If you as kol meiser al beis ha'oitzer," you bring all of the meiser to the storage house. My adli die. What does it mean until no man? Amr Rabbi Bar Rav, Rabbi the son of Rav said, "Ad shiv tuseichim ilomar die," until your lips will get tired of saying it's enough, it's too much. Amar Rabbi Yud. However, Rami, the son of Rav Yud, said that in the exile you could blow shofar on that in the diaspora. Tanya Me'ach we advise the port. This Shana Shegishmaim Nerum Lanshim Nishmar Shochem Lanshim Maimitrim Wenechem Be'achichim Shebegolu Shaloi Bateim Kivreihem. We have advice to support that says that a year that there's a lot of rain, so then the Anshi Mishmar people who would pray for their brothers success and everything that we saw before. So they sent to the Anshi Maimad, similar ideal as Anshi Mishmar, and they would say, Tinu Enechem, put your eyes ba'achichem on your brother Shebagola in the exile, Shaloi yeh bateim kivreim, so that their houses shouldn't be their graves, which means because there's going to be a lot of rain, it can be very deep, so the houses are gonna drown, and that could also drown, God forbid, chas v'shalom. And therefore, you should pray for them that this won't happen. Literally, just this week after the Texas floods, over 100 dead. Terrible. Shalu as Rabbi Eliezer ad heichen geshamim yordim v'yisbalu shul yardu. They asked Rabbi Eliezer, until where will the rain descend? And we should daven that it won't descend. We should pray that it won't descend. In order that a person will stand in this place and he will be able to shake his feet in the water. AK, this never happens. The water never gets that high. That's why you're never going to need to pray for this. That's how Rashi explains Gemara Bahatanya Yada. But it says the hands, not the feet. Raglav Kadu Kamina. Feet are like the hands, same thing. Amar Rabba Bar Chana, Rabba the son of Chana, the grandson of Chana said, Lididi Chazina Lei. For me, I saw this place called Karen Eifel. The Kama Hu Tia. There was a certain Arab that was standing there, Kirach of Gablam, and he was riding on the donkey. The Nakit Rumchon, he was holding a spear biyadi in his hand. Umis Chazi, and even he looked like a worm. Continue. Here next time.